The sheer depth and impact the Offseer had in Xenoblade 3 on the world through the narrative and by way of musical expression doesn't feel like it gets appreciated enough. With the many themes, plot lines, both main and side, character focused directions, and world building techniques in the game, all are tied to components that take all of these and utilize them strongly. Like the beauty of life in is fleeting, the impact of corruption through power, the value of every moment beyond war, even if you don't initially acknowledge it, the depth of a legacy, and so much more tied to Ouroboros, Mobius, and each and every individual from Kevis and Agnes with their cycle of rebirth to the citizens and their freedom to fight or abstain, along with so much more. Now the Offseer seems super obvious, but I feel like with many other aspects the game does super well, thanks to its maturity. It isn't often mentioned just how much this concept gave epiphanies for the lives of those in and out of the cycle, as well as having been the gateway to saving the world entirely through saving the lives of individuals, and in some cases providing actual power through Mio, through Noah, through Chris, and most importantly through Miyabi. The Offseer's meaning skyrocketed both personally and in an overarching manner. There were even many colonies all throughout the time of Ionios with people that understood and appreciated the Offseer, even in the main game having side quests about ones that just wanted their friends to be sent off peacefully, or up and coming Offseers trying to find out the true point of them and if they can really carry the weight properly, whether just in general or from their predecessors. So how truly important is the Offseer? To me, they mean everything, and the game really did treat it as such even from the beginning, quickly marking the path of severe depth in both the concept and by extension the game's tone and narrative. Now subscribe to the channel for more Xenoblade videos as well as other original content based on RPGs and more. Back to the Offseer's brilliance. The establishing of such was by way of Noah after the intro cutscenes and tutorial fights, and they immediately clue you into it in two ways. One, by making the intro cutscenes go from no music with a mystery to high octane action scenes with mechs, soldiers, and lives being traded, all with bombastic heavy music, a gauntlet of sorts for the tutorial, instantly immersing you into the world in heavier tone they want you to know it will have. Secondly, taking a route that expands on Noah's temperament, and you can notice from the action sequences. But after so much chaos, not making things feel like a victory, going into a series of scenes explaining the limit of their mortality and what happens at the end and when they exhaust it, and if they don't make it to then, what will be done with them. A little bit of a tangent, but speaking of the first Homecoming, when I make these videos I will play through games again, watch other people's playthroughs, and talk with those I'm cool with that have played them to see different views and theories and trains of thoughts about receiving certain things in these games. As far as watching other playthroughs, one common trend I saw was when people saw the first Homecoming from False Melia, most of their and even commenters' reactions were like they're celebrating you dying, saying this is terrible, this is cult-like, or someone's dying, how are they saying they want to be like that one day? And that surprised me because one, that's normal for them, so obviously it's not going to be weird, and it wasn't like it's an execution. Them going off into the golden moat like that was something that would happen regardless of ceremony. Also, I did find it a beautiful sight because at the end of one's life, they're celebrated and passed on in a beautiful way and are remembered, and as we know later on, they don't get reincarnated into a cycle of rebirth, but they're free, and as we know the truth of this world of Ionios, that's perfectly fine. Now I did still feel similar to Noah that something was off with the system of the world, but that part in itself didn't seem cultish or brainwashed. That then transitioning into the intentionally beautiful moment of Noah being different from the norm, seeing the people of both Kevis and Agnes after the battle with Colony Sigma, I thought the intentions matched up, and I don't really think I'm wrong in their intent there, so it's interesting to see people take that negatively, and then when it gets to the next progressive scene, it was taken so beautifully and positively, you know? And let me know what you guys think about that. A little bit of a tangent, but still has to do with this topic at least. By showing Noah is partly different than others by caring for Offseeing even the enemy side, you get a feeling that in this tight structure of a world's dynamic, there is one concept that can seemingly bridge the gap, one that can be seemingly thought free of both, and the people that fill those roles either do it out of duty and don't understand more about the world or themselves, or those people really open their minds. Even his companions question him but respect his desire even at the cost of a long walk. That is how you write an intro to immerse players in your world, and it wouldn't hit the same without the entirety of the Offseer, especially with their musical motif. That is one thing that I feel the Xenoblade games do masterfully, is write a way for you to immediately get immersed into the world, even if not into the game wholly itself yet, you're able to immediately grasp that you're in this fantastical world, this unique place that you've never seen before like this. Afterwards, they even introduced offseeing into the gameplay in the form of just random bodies you can offsee and side quests throughout the whole game that add many layers to the people of the world, and ones that give you nice perspectives on what the general thoughts about the Offseer's duty is. Then you notice as the game progresses, it shapes every aspect of the start of the group's journey: growth, despair, their love, care, and power, especially at the climax of chapter 1. Although it caused Mio to underestimate Noah's fighting ability, it only made Guernica really impressed with Noah's free thinking, enough to be confident in his choice to make them Ouroboros even in their time of need with no hesitation. He fully believed in all of them, thanks to them even listening to Noah's declaration. That's why as he was dying, he got to say everything he wanted to say, full faith in completing the mission. And with his death, the first offseeing duet allowed players to gain even more respect and emotional attachment to it, thanks to being for a familiar character. And although excluding Noah and Mio, they began to fight again. They had full respect for the offseeing, for a man who just gave everything for them, and they don't know why. So to say the least, it wasn't just the Ouroboros awakening that helped them all to begin to evolve, and it was only uphill from there. Chapter 2's climax hits you with the ultimate iconic song, The Weight of Life, which takes the Offseer's theme and fuses it into an epic battle version, really striking with the narrative push for them having to do what they need to do when they fight. Not everything can be talked down, and that's something Noah had to learn. Take risks, stand firm, but not give up on their morals, while also not remaining naive, so adapting enough to not be fooled and still survive and not be merciless. I feel like as the Offseers, Noah and Mio really found affinity with each other, having differing perspectives on how they deal with things based on their lives as one. Now Noah was a lot more confident, desiring not to kill, but also sometimes being too hopeful to resolve something without fighting, whereas Mio was too quick to fight sometimes, or at the very least forgetting her roots till her flashbacks of what Miyabi taught her, resonating with Noah, snapped her back, like the scene with offseeing Mobius K in chapter 2. No matter what any of them said, even with Noah considering it, he still did it, whereas Mio wasn't sure she would offsee him and wasn't going to, but joined him in the end as she remembered what she learned from Miyabi. Now their flaws are in different areas, but what makes these two mesh so well are their differences. Those with their positive aspects complementing each other very well. Even if they don't open up on their histories all at once, it's a great gradual progress, making strong writing for story investment while allowing each of the other four members to grow in appreciation of their work and even help them when they falter. Noah and Mio are equally the protagonists, but they're not all knowing, they're not all correct, they're not all right. That's why they both have to be checked, but they also have their clear vulnerabilities and they need to be assisted and backed up, and helps each of the other ones open up as well. Most notably, as the game progresses and we get the chapter 3 finale, post-Taion Revelations, Yorn reveal, and unveiling of the cycle of rebirth, was with the offseeing of the horde of mud bodies left over from Yorn. Lance and Senna are confused on why Noah and Mio are offseeing bodies that weren't even actually people. So Riku explains that it's just to atone for the issue caused in the first place. Taion and Uni bond more and discussed when offseeing could have started and why. And that's when Taion gives his perspective that it's a way to give security to the living, that the people that have passed peacefully. Even if some may not believe, like Uni kinda was indifferent on, it's okay because it's there at all. Now who knows, they may need it one day when someone close to them dies. It's for those that don't make it to homecoming, so they're able to move on, maybe even back to the Queen's embrace, no longer lingering negativity in the world, festering. Even with them both being a bit unsure, it brings them a sort of peace that they'll later really appreciate. So we're given some things we've never seen done before, and it brings out many questions for the main cast that spurs further opening of their mind to being loose from the rigid thinking that was ingrained to them, and gain the freedom of Ouroboros that tightens their bonds with each other, others they find, and strengthens drive to complete the mission. And Taion having grown so much in this chapter, being a catalyst for Uni's heart to grow, which in turn made a big impact on Mio in chapter 4. A bit ago I did a video choosing the best scene of every chapter of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and for chapter 4 there was a tie between two scenes, and one of them was the scene The Gift of Life. Check out that video to find out the rest and the choices for the other chapters, link below. That was a really good one, I enjoyed that one a lot. But this scene in particular not only gave us a unique scene with Uni, Manana, and Mio, which is the first one they've gotten together just them, but the game truly allows Mio to open up, thanks to Uni's patience with Mio's lingering trauma, and we learn of Miyabi who has a unique Offseer melody, and Mio plays it for the first time. Learning that each Offseer can have their own melody goes so much to the heart of the world, and creating one's individuality that would normally be squandered is huge, because we know back in chapter 1, Noah told the rest in his introduction that he wanted to one day make his own melodies, and for Miyabi, it helped create a peace and confidence that the norm didn't give her, but was then able to play perfectly. Doing this now was able to make Mio be brought to tears as more of her locked away feelings and memories come to the surface and just pour them out to Uni and Manana. It helps to instill the message that it isn't just those the Offseers play for that become connected to those that are passed on and have their perspectives changed. It's the Offseers themselves that become connected to each other, their predecessors, through their position, as well as others others due to a new outlook, and most importantly, their music. Piece by piece, they evolve in comparison to others in the cycle, and it gets passed on. This is why the game's strong composition and Offseer themes, from unique to the general ones that evoke so much emotion, even when fused into either battle themes such as against Mobius M, or implemented into different songs by way of motifs that either is uplifting or a bit downtrodden. Even having them in different instrumental forms, from flute to piano to strings, give you so much variety and keeps both the song and feelings given from them in the story so fresh. And that's how you know this game does it excellently, by just how interwoven it is into every aspect of the game without fatigue setting in, by not just being a key part of side stories that are mandatory such as Mio's side stories. We also are able to discover that the Offseer is going to be actual power to something that could channel it, like the Sword of Origin in this case. And in Noah's side story, we see a less fortunate outcome for Chris, but still creating an incredible message with the personal feeling of his off-seeing tune and testing Noah's power of his own melody, a metaphor and actual allegory to his level of drive as things get more and more dire and intense. Hitting him with "This could be the end. Are you actually ready for this?" You even get strong messages dedicated to the Offseer's level of impact on characters outside the confines of the Kevesian Agnians, like in Monica's hero quest. That was actually a very heart-tugging hero quest, man. Oh, that ending scene. The one where you bring back the possessions of those that died in that battle in chapter 1 for her. You, Zuo, and Guernica, their possessions. And when Noah and Mio decide to offsee them, mainly out of sentiment, it already affects the crowd of mourning citizens, but then to everyone's astonishment, even our crew, the motes begin to rise even from the belongings of the dead, some of their essence having been tied to those objects. And that causes the loved ones, while still mourning, to become happy that they still have some substance to truly comfort them on their loved ones passing. Monica at the head, invigorating their spirits to live on in their stead, but not without her own tears, admitting afterwards that music is truly something special, and it really is, man. And I just can't stress enough how much I love that the game's characters also experience exactly what the players feel when it comes to this. That's such a unique experience. And to look back to the one character I believe set the stage for so much of the success in the game, helping both the world, Ouroboros, and so many people in the main story to side content to be saved, Miyabi. Miyabi, who I consider to be the greatest Offseer to ever live, and the most key one. Now, I talked about her a lot again in my video, the best scene of every chapter of Xenoblade 3, for a specific chapter scene, and I will not spoil, so go ahead and please watch that, 'cause that's where I get my full, big, in-depth thoughts about her specifically, but I'll still talk about it a bit here. So much of the game's strength in the Offseer, even on top of aspects of the game's outcome, can be dedicated to her, and she's just in general a pleasure of a character to be around. She wasn't gifted or talented in combat whatsoever, but also funnily enough, she wasn't that good when it came to playing the Offseer tunes either, but she had another quality, not necessarily faith in herself, but faith in her ability to continue to make an effort in everything, even if nobody else did. And sometimes that's all you need. You don't even need to think you can do something, as long as you believe that you can become able to do something. But she excelled so much after she became an officer, even if she was struggling at first. I feel like that because of how little she could depend on others, she was less focused on the strict containment of the rules of their world. So like, for example, Mio had a lot of skill, so she was more inclined to take action within the confines of the rules of the world and their goal. We see just how no matter the aggression Mio gives to Miyabi when pressing her about the actual worth of the Offseers, she keeps her head high and shoots down each of the selfish, foolish, and brainwashed thoughts Mio had, turning what was an insult from Mio, who called her scared, into, yes, I'm scared, not to fight, but to take another's life, and that I'm surprised it comes easy to everyone else. Ooh, that doesn't sound so good now, doesn't Mio? Ooh, she really got her. She really got her there. In one fell swoop, way before she even meets Noah, making Mio realize that they don't fight to live, but live to fight. That the Kevesian Agnians are just the same. And that's why they all deserve to be given an offseeing. And we see just the best offseeing moment from Miyabi and in the game, in my opinion, period. Not only does she set Mio on a correct path that helps her amongst the Ouroboros group and be an inspiration for Mio, which leads to the group's win over Mobius, but each of her acts allowed even those who doubted her to be turned around, as they find that the ones they cared about that died seen all peacefully by the same one they ridiculed. I always felt that although Chris was similar to Miyabi, he gave up a bit too quickly, but at the same time, that's another depth of the game's message, that even with a more open mind, you can be awakened to more freedom to give up on the world or even yourself, satisfied with your personal experience, just being done with life as much as you want to continue to live and bring others out of that despair. And Miyabi was that opposite. Her one confidence was in her tenacity, making a difference with something she knew more than so many others. She's just incredible. Well, one of my favorite characters for sure. I know some feel that she shouldn't have returned, but I mean, a huge part of the game is people being able to be reborn, and almost always not the same, so Miyabi was an outlier there, but that was intentional. This shouldn't have been surprising for her to be brought back, as that is a big theme of the game, and she was brought back as a villain that needed to be stopped. And that's why I was also happy with the very lax and warm hero and ascension quest that she got. It gave us a stronger personal relationship away from from the stuff from the main story, so it could really dive and dig deep into more about her and her tonality and her personality. And I don't think it's overdoing it to say that due to the efforts of her and Chris, and then by extension passing their work on to Noah and Mio, each of their own individual ideals and appreciation of the music and the power it has both literally and mentally, the true system of the world, the influence and respect given to the Offseer, persisting beyond comprehension just like inanimate spirits could, is truly special, and the game wouldn't be the same without the absolute beauty of the Offseer. Take that out of the game and you lose so much of its strength in character, in writing, narrative direction, and also the setting of the tone, entirely meant to affect the heart. Subscribe for more Xenoblade and other RPG and gaming content. Put hashtag flute on your comment as a secret code to let me know you came this far. Thank you very much. Any and all support is appreciated. Check out the links below to my other social media like Twitter, where I update, and Twitch, where I stream random things or games that I just wouldn't stream here on YouTube. Thank you for staying and see you all next time.